Tell me where to find him. This is a remote that controls a device that's been decompressing the air between the sheets of glass beneath you. If I trigger it, the glass will shatter. So tell me where he is, or swim very fast.
You have the wrong person.
No, I have exactly the right person.
The movie opens with Charlie Heller in his garage, gathering parts to fix an old scrap plane his wife once gave him as a gift. His wife Sarah walks in and reminds him she'll soon be leaving for a business conference in London. She asks him to come inside and see her off. In the kitchen, Charlie makes her a cup of coffee, something she jokingly says she won't survive without during her trip. She invites him to travel with her, but he gently turns her down, explaining that he has work tasks he still needs to handle. When her ride arrives, Charlie walks her out, kisses her goodbye, and even jokingly runs after the car as it pulls away. Later, Charlie arrives at his workplace, CIA headquarters. After passing through security, he's greeted by a field agent known as the Bear, who asks if Charlie can help fix his computer during lunch, just like last time. Charlie agrees and heads into his department, Decryption and Analysis, where security scanners sweep over him as he enters. He sits down to work and soon receives a message from a mysterious informant he's been communicating with for years, known only by the codename Inquiline. Inquiline sends him a file, warning him to be extremely careful because it contains highly compromising information.
Be careful with this data. It's highly compromising for your agency.
How's the weather in Istanbul?
Nice try.
Just a matter of time.
You think? It's been 5 years, Charlie, and you're still guessing.
I'll get there. I like puzzles.
Not as much as I like anonymity.
If I had to guess, you're a 50-year-old Russian man living in Istanbul with an affinity for Reddit boards and Turkish coffee.
Charlie attempts to open the file, but keeps running into error codes. During lunch, Charlie and his co-workers spot the Bear entering the cafeteria. The others tease Charlie about being best friends with the intimidating agent.
How do you know him?
Charlie brushes it off, saying they're just acquaintances, and that he only saved the Bear's life once. Back at his desk, Charlie tries again to crack the file. Sarah calls to let him know she arrived safely in London, and he admits he already knows because he's been tracking her flight. He promises to call her back once he finishes what he's working on. Still unable to access the file, Charlie takes his computer into a restricted room reserved for senior staff so he can use the supercomputer. After some effort, he finally breaks through, and what he finds horrifies him. The file contains top-secret evidence of drone strikes disguised as suicide bombings, covered up by news reports. The footage shows that at least 150 people were killed, including French Special Forces and Danish Marines. Even worse, the entire operation was planned and authorized by Chief Moore, Charlie's own boss. Shaken, Charlie leaves the restricted room and runs into his friend and co-worker, Carlos. He hints that he may have accessed something he shouldn't have. Carlos warns him to keep it quiet. That night, Charlie calls Sarah, but she doesn't pick up. He leaves a voicemail telling her he misses her and asking her to call him back. The next morning at the office, Charlie walks in to find Chief Moore standing in his workspace. Moore greets him warmly. He asks Charlie if he's watched the news lately. Charlie admits he hasn't found a reliable outlet yet. Moore then asks him to follow him to the director's office. Inside, Moore introduces him to Director O'Brien, the newly appointed CIA director. O'Brien solemnly reveals that there has been a terrorist attack in London, at the very hotel where Sarah was staying. Moore then delivers the devastating news.
Charlie,
I'm very sorry, Mr. Heller.
What?
your wife has been killed.
No, she's at a conference. We should call her.
Charlie, I'm
Can
very
we call
sorry
her?
to give you this.
I have to call her.
But Moore turns on the TV, showing live coverage of the incident. The reporter explains that 4 terrorists stormed the hotel, took 3 hostages, and killed 2 people, including an American woman. Charlie still clings to denial until Moore pulls up the hotel's security footage. The video confirms the unthinkable. Sarah was among the victims. Later that day, Carlos drives Charlie home. When they arrive, reporters crowd his neighborhood, trying to get a statement from him. Alone in the quiet house, Charlie is devastated. unable to process the loss. The next morning, Charlie confronts Chief Moore and Supervisor Caleb. He demands to know why there's no progress on the case, pointing out that London has nearly 1 million CCTV cameras. There's no way the terrorists vanished without a trace, especially since they drove into traffic. Caleb assures him the responsible parties will be held accountable, and Moore echoes this, urging Charlie to go home and rest. The following day, Charlie goes to the airport to receive Sarah's body and her belongings. Back home, he opens her luggage and finds a small gift bag she'd brought for him. Inside is a puzzle and a heartfelt message. The gesture breaks him, and he collapses in tears. Later that night, he searches online for information about the attack. He comes across videos on X, including one featuring Sarah, but he can't bring himself to watch it. Restless and unable to mourn quietly at home, Charlie returns to work. He sneaks into the restricted room again to use the supercomputers and begins investigating the attack on his own. He hacks into the hotel's CCTV system and retrieves the full timeline, from when the terrorists arrived to when they escaped. He compiles every detail and brings his findings to his superiors. According to the footage, the 4 terrorists stole a vehicle on the east side of the city, wiped it clean of prints and DNA, then entered the hotel through the service door. They had a scheduled meeting with an Indonesian company called Impact Investment. Something went wrong, and an argument broke out in the hallway. One of the terrorists shot the company's security officers. This triggered hotel staff to call the police. Cornered and desperate to escape, the terrorists rushed into a conference room and took hostages as leverage. Sarah was among them.
Get down! No! Run!
They only took Sarah because she tried to save someone else.
Charlie runs voice and facial analysis on the footage and identifies the 4 attackers. Mishka, based in Moscow, Lawrence Elish, a former South African Special Forces operative, Gretchen, a former Armenian intelligence officer, and finally, Sarah's killer and the mercenary leader.
Sarah's killer is harder to track. He seems to sense the cameras, says nothing. But I processed all the CCTV, cell phones, dash cams, body cams, and the audio to give us a 360, and that provides us with an ID. This is Horst Schiller. Loose affiliations with dozens of mercs and defense groups. I'm still filling that in.
Charlie also reveals that he's tracked Gretchen's location. She's in Paris and visits the same cafe every day to buy bread. When Moore and Caleb show no surprise, Charlie realizes they already know all of this.
You already know about Gretchen Frank?
They assure him they'll compare his findings with their own and work on it. Then send him to the agency therapist. At the therapist's office, Charlie opens up about his guilt and grief. He blames himself for not traveling with Sarah when she asked. He also confesses that he gave the agency the names of the killers, and they did absolutely nothing. That negligence fills him with anger. The next day, Charlie hides a chip inside his ID badge and slips into his department without triggering the scanners. In his office, he quietly copies the classified files he received from Inquiline onto the chip, then uses a skimmer on the printer to make additional digital backups. Inquiline tries to contact him, but Charlie ignores the message, shuts his laptop, and leaves the building. That evening, he stops by a bar. The owner asks him to watch the counter for a moment.
I gotta close up the back.
I got you covered out here.
And as Charlie waits, his eyes drift to the old jukebox glowing in the corner. The next morning, armed with evidence, Charlie confronts Chief Moore and Caleb again. He lays out Moore's entire history of unauthorized black ops, bombing a Syrian hospital, striking an Allied base in Yemen.
The convoy? You targeted our allies. I count more than 1,000 casualties and over 400 civilian fatalities.
It's only out of respect for your recent loss that I'm not throwing you out of this office.
He reveals that he's activated a dead man switch. If he fails to enter a code every 5 hours, the files will automatically be sent to 2 major journalists, and within 24 hours, the entire collection will go public. Faced with this, Caleb asks what Charlie really wants. Charlie says he doesn't want them to eliminate the killers. He wants to do it himself. He demands full training, equipment, fake passports, weapons, cash, and everything necessary to hunt them down personally. Moore mocks him, joking that Charlie couldn't beat a 90-year-old nun in an arm wrestling match. But when they see he's serious, they reluctantly agree. After the confrontation, Charlie reaches his car and immediately vomits from the overwhelming stress. Back in Moore's office, Moore assumes Charlie is bluffing, but Caleb warns him not to risk it. They decide to comply for now. But once they locate the dead man's switch, or confirm he's lying, they'll get rid of him and claim it was a training accident. Moore then suggests bringing in one of their men, Henderson, to train Charlie. Charlie arrives at the CIA's training facility, where he meets Henderson.
The hell you doing? I'm not an Uber driver.
Sorry.
On their way, he introduces himself as Colonel Henderson and tells Charlie he is to follow every instruction without question if he wants even a chance of surviving his mission.
And there is a slight chance you may come out of this alive.
Only a slight chance.
I'm overestimating your odds to boost your confidence, son.
Meanwhile, back at the agency, Caleb and a group of analysts scramble to figure out how Charlie managed to smuggle highly classified files out of the building. They review CCTV footage but see nothing in Charlie's hands.
My bet is he's bluffing.
Man has an IQ of 170. Let's not assume.
They tear apart his office but find nothing there either. One agent suggests he might have used a skimmer, a device that can secretly copy data. Another argues that their systems are too secure for that. A third agent interrupts, pointing out that skimmers can be used on printers. That means Charlie could have sent the files to a printer, rewritten its software, and used a magnetic strip to extract the data. Still, they can't figure out how he got the chip past the scanners. Checking CCTV again, they find footage of Charlie buying a magnetic strip. Chief Moore suggests he might have swallowed the chip, but the body scanners would have detected that too. Running out of ideas, Caleb orders a full search of Charlie's home, but that also turns up nothing. At the training facility, Charlie begins firearms training, and it goes disastrously. He can't aim properly no matter how hard he tries. Henderson brings Charlie closer to the target, but even then, Charlie can't hit it. Only at point-blank range does he finally land a shot. The next day, Charlie takes a class on creating improvised explosives, and this time, he excels. He assembles a homemade bomb with almost no assistance.
I'll be damned. Looks like we finally found something you do well, Heller.
Later, Henderson drills him relentlessly on his fake identity under extreme duress, then prepares multiple fake passports for him. Back at headquarters, Caleb and an agent notice on CCTV that Charlie visited a particular bar twice, one of those visits being the day he copied the files. The agent says they already searched the bar and found nothing. Caleb orders a second search. This time, an agent finds a CD hidden inside the jukebox. They try to decrypt Charlie's code, but the girl says it might take a while. Henderson visits Charlie's room and finds him staring at photos of his wife's killers. Henderson asks how Charlie expects to take down trained mercenaries while also evading CIA pursuit. Charlie admits that's exactly what he hopes Henderson will teach him. Henderson chambers around, hands Charlie the gun, and tells him to point it at his chest and pull the trigger. Charlie trembles and can't do it. Henderson snatches the gun back and tells him bluntly, he's not a killer, and no amount of training will turn him into one.
You have to either be very confident or very stupid, which is its own kind of confidence. Truth is, you don't have that kind of confidence, and you are not stupid, not in the slightest. You're just not a killer, Charlie.
Later that night, Charlie listens in through a hidden bug he planted in Moore's office. He hears Caleb and the tech team working to decrypt the CD.
What if she can't break Heller's encryption? She will.
Hours later, they crack it and discover Charlie has been bluffing about the dead man's switch.
It's a bluff.
He was playing us.
And he did pretty well, too.
With the truth exposed, Moore and Caleb decide it's time to eliminate him. Moore calls Henderson and gives the kill order. Henderson storms into Charlie's room with his gun raised, only to find the bed empty. He reports to Moore that Charlie has already escaped using a janitor's card and has taken a bag full of passports with him.
He's got a bag full of passports.
Caleb realizes Charlie has played them the entire time. Moore then remembers the physical Black Ops file Charlie slammed onto the desk during their confrontation. He flips it open and finds a tiny device attached, the real bug.
Mr. Heller. Bugging a CIA officer is treason.
Charlie hears the message just as he boards a plane to London. Charlie arrives in London and quickly makes his way to Paris. At immigration, his fake identity checks out, and he passes through without suspicion. Back at the CIA, Caleb informs Moore that the system has flagged one of Charlie's forged passports. He entered London and is now heading to Paris. Caleb suggests alerting their liaison in Europe, but Moore shuts it down. He wants the matter kept internal and orders Caleb to contact Henderson instead. In Paris, Charlie checks into a hotel overlooking a small cafe Gretchen frequents. From his window, he keeps watch until she finally appears. Before she leaves, Charlie hacks into her phone remotely and plants a tracker. That night, he follows the signal to her apartment. From across the street, he watches Gretchen and her boyfriend prepare to go out. Once they leave, Charlie sneaks inside and uses a YouTube tutorial to pick the lock. Inside, he snaps photos of her calendar and discovers a gun in a drawer. After a moment of hesitation, he pockets it. Just then, he hears voices downstairs. The couple has returned early. In a panic, Charlie slips out and rushes up the stairs. When Gretchen reaches her door, Charlie points the gun at her from the shadows, but freezes. He can't pull the trigger. Shaken, he flees back to his hotel, out of breath and terrified. In his room, reviewing the photo of Gretchen's calendar, he notices she has a hospital appointment the next day. He researches the location and learns that she's seeing an allergy specialist who treats pollen-related conditions and forms a plan. The following morning, Charlie buys a bouquet.
All of them, please. The lilies as well, please. Okay, all of them.
You must have done something really bad.
Not yet.
And waits in a cafe across from the hospital. When Gretchen arrives, he follows her inside. During her treatment, the doctor's computer suddenly shuts down. Charlie caused the outage. When the doctor steps out to check the issue, Charlie slips in disguised as staff, locks the door, and seals Gretchen inside the respiratory chamber. Alarmed, she demands to know who he is. Charlie pumps a concentrated dose of pollen into the chamber, triggering a severe allergic reaction. As she struggles to breathe, he begs her to reveal Horst Schiller's location, promising to release her. Outside, doctors pound on the door. Moments before Gretchen passes out, Charlie cracks. He opens the chamber. She bursts out, knocks him aside, and tries to flee. They grapple, but she overpowers him and escapes. Charlie pulls his gun and chases her into the street, only for a van to tear through the lane and hit her instantly. Gretchen dies on the spot. Shaken, Charlie approaches her body, grabs her phone, and runs. He returns to his hotel, cleans up, packs, and buys a train ticket to Marseille. Meanwhile, at the CIA, Director O'Brien confronts Moore about Gretchen's death, especially since the French ambassador is demanding answers.
French ambassador is asking.
Wasn't us.
Later that night, Charlie stumbles into a nightclub in Marseille. Drunk and guilt-ridden, he downs multiple shots until he suddenly spots Henderson pushing through the crowd toward him. Charlie bolts through the back exit, sprinting down the streets with Henderson in pursuit. He ducks into a small bar, but Henderson follows. Charlie rushes into the bathroom and locks the door, but there's nowhere to escape. After a few moments, he steps back out, ready to confront him. Charlie asks how Henderson tracked him down. Henderson reveals he took Gretchen's phone, and its location data led him straight there. He admits he didn't expect Charlie to survive this long, but his orders are clear. He has to kill him. Charlie replies that Henderson underestimated the one thing he's truly good at. He shows him a countdown timer. It hits 0, and a bomb explodes inside the bathroom. In the confusion, Charlie slips away into the night. Exhausted, he sleeps outdoors. The next morning, he texts Inquiline and begs for help. They send coded instructions. Following them, Charlie boards a cargo plane and lands in Istanbul, Turkey. There, they direct him to a small cafe where someone will hand him a book. Inside, he sends them a message, and at that moment, a middle-aged man's phone buzzes. Thinking the man is Inquiline, Charlie approaches, but a woman intercepts him. She hands him a book and quietly tells him he has the wrong person. She instructs him to check his phone and meet her outside. To his surprise, Inquiline is a woman, not the older man he imagined. Charlie tries to explain why he needs her help, but she already knows. It's unsafe to talk there, so she tells him to meet her at a garage in 30 minutes. When he arrives, he gets into her car and she drives off. On the way, she explains her story. Her late husband, once a KGB officer who later became a CIA asset, was the original Inquiline. According to official reports, he fell from a window 6 years ago, but that's the standard cover story for ex-KGB deaths. Before his death, he taught her everything: encryption, infiltration, survival. She still keeps loose contact with Charlie's CIA division, just in case she ever needs a favor. They arrive at her secluded home on the outskirts of the city, guarded only by roaming guinea fowls.
It's better than any alarm system.
Inside, they begin analyzing photos of Schiller's group. Charlie identifies Schiller as the mastermind who recruits mercenaries for anyone willing to pay, including Moore's Black Ops. Laurence Elish, a former South African Special Forces soldier, handles weapons trafficking.
But he's beyond paranoid, so we have to find a way to pull him out of the dark.
Inquiline volunteers to lure him by posing as a seller of cheap arms.
Okay, perhaps I can start the conversation. Suggest I have a contract for him. See if he will engage.
Then there's Mishka, the weak link. He travels constantly and posts everything online. By analyzing a recent photo, they pinpoint his location. They also study the reflection of his girlfriend in a window in the picture and uncover her identity. They trace her flight history and confirm Mishka is in Madrid. Back at the CIA, Caleb tells his team to monitor the 3 remaining operatives on Charlie's hit list. He's certain Charlie will go after them next. That afternoon, O'Brien meets Moore for lunch. She tells him bluntly that he was the first person her predecessor warned her about. She suspects he's been running secret black ops without transparency, and she makes it clear she won't tolerate being kept in the dark. Moore puts on his usual calm, reassuring face and promises her full cooperation, just as he did with those before her.
Your predecessor sat me down at this very same table no more than a week into his term and gave me pretty much this exact same speech. Oh, wait. Maybe it was his predecessor. I can't remember. Anyway, I'll tell you what I told them. You have my full support.
When O'Brien gets into her car, her assistant shows her new intel. Henderson has been spotted in Madrid.
On whose orders?
She learns Moore sent him, so she orders one of her own agents to shadow Henderson without Moore's knowledge.
Let's get someone of our own in play.
Meanwhile, Charlie and Inquiline successfully track Mishka to a hotel in Madrid. They tap into the hotel's security feed and watch him in real time. Charlie knows Moore's team is monitoring Mishka too, likely waiting for him to show up, but he insists on moving forward. He asks Inquiline to keep watch for Henderson.
And keep an eye out for him. This is who they'll send.
The next day, Charlie arrives at the hotel to observe Mishka's routine. He realizes Mishka likes to swim alone at night in the rooftop suspended pool. Charlie studies the pool's structure and glass enclosure carefully. Instead of simply shooting Mishka, he designs a far more controlled and brutal method. Meanwhile, Henderson closes in. He calls Moore, suggesting they spare Charlie.
Not for me to say here, boss, but why bury him? Why not just roll him up?
We're past that. Too big of a stench. Look,
He practically invented half of our surveillance tech. Now, I will find him. But you might have a bigger stench on your hands if he gives us the slip again.
You won't let that happen.
Charlie gathers supplies for his plan and builds a device designed to compromise the rooftop pool. By the next night, everything is ready. He trails Mishka through the hotel, unaware that Henderson is already close behind. In the lobby, Charlie notices a man tailing him and quietly asks Inquiline, through a hidden earpiece, to run facial recognition. Before she can even start, she spots Henderson on the security feeds heading straight toward him. The other man is CIA as well, the one O'Brien sent to shadow Henderson.
Let's get someone of our own in play.
Inquiline urges him to abort, but Charlie refuses. The show must go on. Charlie reaches the rooftop and confronts Mishka in the pool. He demands to know where Schiller is, revealing that he's the husband of the woman Mishka helped murder. Then he shows Mishka a small remote. Charlie explains that he's slowly been decompressing the air between the layers of the glass enclosure, and that one press will shatter the entire structure. Mishka panics and tries to climb out of the water, but Charlie hits the button. The glass cracks, then explodes outward. Mishka plummets from the rooftop to his death. Inquiline urgently tells Charlie to escape. Henderson is closing in. She directs him toward the basement, but Henderson intercepts him just in time. Before Henderson can grab him, the second CIA agent tackles him, and the two erupt into a vicious fight. Henderson swings a baton while the agent slashes with a knife. Charlie watches from the doorway as Henderson slams the agent's head into a washing machine. The agent pulls a hidden gun from his sock and shoots Henderson in the stomach. Henderson wrestles the gun away and fires a round into the agent's head, killing him. Charlie hesitates, wanting to help the wounded Henderson, but Inquiline pleads with him to run. So he does. Back at CIA headquarters, Director O'Brien summons Moore. She asks where Charlie is, and Moore claims Charlie is still on bereavement leave and unreachable. He promises to update her if anything changes. But once Moore leaves, O'Brien looks at her screen, a surveillance image of Charlie at the Madrid hotel, and realizes that her subordinate has been playing a double game, keeping her in the dark. Elsewhere, Caleb and his team study the same photo. They realize Charlie wasn't acting alone. He was communicating with someone. Digging into the hacked hotel system and Charlie's encrypted chats, they identify his mysterious partner, a 50-year-old man codenamed Inquiline, based in Istanbul. Caleb orders the team to pinpoint his location. That afternoon, Charlie is outside feeding the guinea fowls when Inquiline joins him and gently asks how he's holding up. Charlie admits he handled this last mission better than the first. Inquiline quietly shares that after her husband died, she filled the silence with work, and she wonders if Charlie is doing the same. Meanwhile, at the CIA, Caleb and his team make a breakthrough. They discover the real Inquiline was a 50-year-old former Russian intelligence officer who later worked for the CIA, but has been dead for years. New intel from the Russians suggests his widow may be operating under his codename. Caleb immediately orders a direct line open to Russian intelligence in Istanbul. That night, Charlie is asleep on the couch when Inquiline approaches and admits she hasn't slept beside someone in a long time. He invites her to lie next to him, and she curls up against him. But as soon as the guinea fowls outside begin screeching, she bolts upright. She checks her CCTV feeds and sees Russian operatives silently infiltrating her property. She and Charlie escape through a hidden exit and sprint to her car. They speed away, but the Russians open fire. After several intense moments, the gunfire finally stops, and they think they've lost them, until a Russian patrol boat appears along the shoreline. A single precise shot hits Inquiline, killing her instantly. Shocked and devastated, Charlie drags her body into the passenger seat and drives off. At a quiet garage, he gives her a final kiss on the forehead and leaves her behind. While sitting at a small cafe, he receives a message from Laurence Elish on Inquiline's phone, agreeing to buy the missiles she had pretended to be selling.
Perhaps I can start the conversation. Suggest I have a contract for him. See if he will engage.
Determined, Charlie buys a new phone and laptop and messages Elish a meeting point in Romania. He hitches a ride on a cargo truck heading there. Before Elish arrives at the meetup spot, Charlie scans his own face and hacks security systems across Europe, making random people appear as him on surveillance feeds, throwing Moore and the agents completely off his trail.
Heller's in Berlin.
What?
This was 40 minutes ago.
When Elish finally arrives, Charlie calls the phone he left waiting on a chair. When Elish answers, Charlie instructs him to open a box containing the missiles. The moment Elish lifts the lid, an IED Charlie built activates.
You drop the lid, move away, or cross the beam, it detonates.
Charlie steps out of hiding and confronts him. He tells Elish to look at the photo of Sarah taped to the box and demands Schiller's location in exchange for defusing the bomb. Terrified, Elish reveals that Schiller is usually on his yacht somewhere in Russian waters. He says he delivers weapons to Primorsk, a major Baltic port, and contacts Schiller's men, Simon and Christoph, using a secret numerical code. Charlie demands the phone, the code, and the men's names. He takes them, walks away, and ignores Elish's desperate pleas.
Where you going? You jump really fast. You might survive the blast. Please, wait!
At CIA headquarters, Caleb realizes Charlie is throwing them off with the random CCTV appearances. When news of Elish's death in Romania comes in, he immediately concludes Charlie was responsible. Later, Charlie arrives in Primorsk by boat. He rents a room and finally solves the puzzle Sarah left behind. The next morning at the seaport, he spots a suspicious pickup truck. 3 men exit. Charlie sends the secret code to one of Elish's numbers, and one of the men instantly checks his phone. They're Schiller's crew. Charlie tails them and sees them loading bags onto a small boat. He snaps a photo of the vessel, then ducks into a nearby cafe, only to run into the bear. Confused, Charlie asks if he's there to kill him, but the bear calmly says no. He admits Charlie has surprised him.
You think they're gonna let you leave Russia? I mean, how does that even work? How do you leave here? The only way you leave here is in a box, but if you walk out of here right now with me, I can help you.
The bear insists no one sent him. He came on his own to save Charlie.
What are you looking for?
I don't know, my assassin.
Your assassin? Yeah, what do you think? What does an assassin look like? I mean, it can't be anyone, huh? I mean, even a slight little nerdy fella likes to work on computers.
But Charlie refuses, saying he can't quit until he finds the man who pulled the trigger. Home doesn't feel like home without Sarah. The bear understands, stands up, and walks away. That night, Charlie buys a smartwatch, tape, pliers, and other tools, then uses the boat's registration number to trace it back to Schiller's main yacht. The next morning, he approaches one of Schiller's men from the day before, casually asking about his partners, but the man eyes him suspiciously, shrugs him off, and walks away. That night, Charlie studies Schiller's usual sea routes and realizes the Gulf of Finland is close. The following morning, as he watches the 3 men load into their small boat again, one of them creeps up behind him and knocks him out, sending Sarah's puzzle falling from his hands. The men take Charlie to Schiller's yacht, and at last, he comes face to face with Horst Schiller himself. Schiller holds up a bomb, one Charlie planted earlier, and scoffs, saying he's insulted Charlie thought something so primitive could kill him. Charlie calmly tells him he knows all about the secret Black Ops missions Schiller carried out for Moore and Caleb, but that isn't why he's here. He reveals the real reason. Schiller murdered his wife, Sarah, and he wants revenge. Schiller explains with chilling calm that Sarah's death wasn't personal, just necessary. Police were blocking their route, so he killed her to send a message. He even apologizes for it, claiming she died bravely. Then he shifts the conversation, asking why Charlie killed his men from a distance and in such brutal ways. Schiller smirks and says it's because Charlie can't take a life up close.
You are not so different to me. Killing these people to find your way here to me. Has it made you feel better?
I won't know till I've killed you.
It was an instant. Your wife?
No, it wasn't.
That you tortured my colleagues, dropped a man 16 stories, suffocated a woman in a locked chamber. Your elaborate murders from a distance And you know why?
I do.
Because it's hard to take a life up close.
To prove it, he hands Charlie his loaded gun. Charlie grips the gun and raises it toward Schiller. Schiller actually believes he might do it, but Charlie lowers the weapon. He tells Schiller that killing him quickly would be too easy. He wants Schiller to feel the same powerless fear Sarah felt. Suddenly, the yacht lurches violently. Schiller demands to know what's happening. Charlie reveals that he has taken control of the yacht's navigation system, rerouting it straight into Finnish territorial waters and transmitting their coordinates to authorities.
My watch, so I'm the transmitter. And you invited me in. I just needed you to talk as long as it took to get us here.
Schiller calls his bluff, insisting the yacht system is CIA designed and unhackable, but Charlie just smiles. He is the one who built the encryption for the CIA. Moments later, Finnish Navy vessels and Interpol teams surround the vessel. Officers board, disarm the crew, and arrest everyone.
Charlie Heller.
Except Charlie, the anonymous whistleblower who tipped them off. The next day, Director O'Brien addresses a massive press conference. News has broken about the illegal drone strikes disguised as suicide bombings and years of unauthorized black ops missions. High-ranking officials, including Moore and Caleb, have been arrested. O'Brien vows full transparency going forward. When reporters ask about the whistleblower, she confirms they're safe and still with the agency. Later, Charlie visits Sarah's grave and gently places flowers there. After his shift that evening, he's surprised to find Henderson sitting in his car.
Who's the Uber driver now?
Henderson tells him he's proud of him, that Charlie took action when no one else would.
Everything you taught me.
No. What you've done, what you've become, can't teach that.
He promises they'll see each other again, then quietly walks away. In the final scene, Charlie enters his garage. His Cessna plane, the one Sarah gifted him, has finally been repaired. He climbs inside, starts the engine, and takes the aircraft into the sky, flying freely at last.